Just covered how Dave Rubin attempted to justify his comment that progressivism is a mental disorder. We broke that down, so make sure you do go check that out. We've done a ton of breakdowns on Dave Rubin and David Pakman's interview that they had. If you don't know, Dave Rubin of the Rubin Report went on to David Pakman's show. They did a long interview. David Pakman asked him pretty good questions. He kept his feet to the fire pretty well. I was pretty satisfied with the interview, and I felt that David couldn't really go any further. I think that David cornered him, but Rubin just continued to bullshit. So it got to the point where I was like, okay, there's nothing else that Pakman could have done to gotten more answers out of him or anything like that. But now we're going to get into a clip that exposes Dave Rubin for the absolute imbecile moron that he is. Check this out.
Is that it's sort of what I just said to you in the previous segment. If your issues are think about all the, I mean, I was on TYT for years. Everything's about the government's horrible, everyone's corrupt, everyone's evil, corporations, money is destroying everything, billionaires, blah, blah, blah. What's your answer? Make the government bigger, tax people more, force the government to do more, blah, blah, blah. That seems antithetical to logic and reason. So yes, it is not a mental disorder, but I think basically if you could get a group of progressives to sit down and not scream at you that you're a bigot and a racist and a homophobe, which, by the way, I'm sure that there are people that use those slurs on you, even though you are of the left and consider yourself a progressive. I think if you could get some people to sit down and really talk about ideas and these principles and the philosophic underpinnings of the things that we're talking about, I think you could get people to understand that if your problem is the corruption, the problem is the money and all of those things, then stop making the problem bigger. That this isn't about what the founding fathers intended. They intended a very weak federal government and local control and local power and state power, and I'm for all of those things. So yes, the comment was done glibly, but I assure you it had nothing to do with David Pakman.
Well, what you just saw is a seemingly little kind of attempt at like a gotcha towards people who consider themselves progressive. Now, I recall this in the Ted Cruz-Bernie Sanders debate, where what you had is Ted Cruz says, hey, you know, there's one thing that we agree on, and it's that the government is corrupt. Now, here's the thing, okay? What Dave Rubin tries to misrepresent and tries to lie about, he says it's illogical, okay? Because like everybody on the left says, get money out of politics, because what it is doing is it's corrupting the politicians from doing the good. So here's effectively what you have. Okay, you have two routes. You either have you know, decent sized government, whatever size government you want, or you have just massive libertarianism where it's just, you know, virtually very small government. So hypothetically, in Dave Rubin's land, where he says, you know, you're making a problem bigger by making government bigger. Hey, jackass, if you have a small government, those businesses corrupting the politicians, those businesses will have more power. If you don't have a government like that, a big government, what you're effectively going to have is corporations having all of the power. You're going to have an oligarchy, and etc., etc. So what we want is not to dismantle the government, because the government can do good. I would much rather have a decent sized government, not too big, because the government can't get too big, a decent sized government that serves the needs of the people, delivers help on education, Medicare for all, Social Security, food stamps, etc., social safety net. I mean, the list goes on, right? That is what we need. So the idea that it's illogical to say, hey, we want government to do a good thing, but what you have is these donors effectively giving money to these politicians, and then they vote for the bad things, not the good things. So what is the problem? The problem is not the politician. The problem is the donor, because we want the politician to do good, not bad. What's making the politician do bad? Not the idea that, hey, I'm so powerful, I'm going to do bad. No, you stupid fuck. What the problem is the influence, the money, the cash, the donors. So Dave Rubin exposes himself as totally clueless on this issue.